and a place that is so important to many traditions, and thus it's heartbreaking to see when conflict exists there. So we ask that there would be calm minds and deepened hearts for reconciliation there. But as we focus this evening on our local community, we ask that your spirit would also blow swiftly but deeply in our midst, that we may be awakened to new opportunities to serve you and continuing ways in which we can do the work we're already doing, that has a power to change lives and build bridges and create reconciliation here. We ask this all in your name. Amen.
Thanks, Lon. It's great to hear and see you. So good evening, Chum. Welcome. As you know, I'm Lee Stewart, the outgoing executive director, and I saw that John Cole has joined us. You'll meet the new executive director in just a few minutes in this assembly. And I hope that fervently this is Chum's last virtual assembly, though as Ben said, we may continue with a hybrid model to allow broader participation. And it's also finally, and without question, my last assembly with you in this role. And I know we've been around that at least 3 or 4 times. And so this time it truly is it. So I promise this one's for real. So tonight, as you know, to ground us in the fundamentals, I want us to call to mind Chum's mission statement. People of faith working together to provide basic necessities, foster stable lives, and organize for a just and compassionate community. And our vision is a future where every person has food, shelter, dignity, and hope, where racial disparities are eliminated, and where everyone lives in a just and compassionate community. And so those people of faith, let it sink in. That's you, that's us, working together, providing food, shelter, dignity, and hope through Chum. And I'm really grateful to all of you, lay leaders, clergy, friends, for choosing Chum as part of your ministry beyond your walls, that special ministry of charity and ministries of justice. And one of your best attributes, which I've always appreciated, is that you always seek out what's next. You don't rely on past expressions of this mission and vision. You're not the last, this is the way we always do it sort of people. You adhere to the fundamentals of Micah and adjust to the signs of the times. So you dream up things. You dream up things like the Steve O'Neill Apartments, community-supported agriculture, mobile delivery from the food shelf, warming centers. That's great. So back to Micah. Micah asks us, with what shall I come to the Lord and bow myself before the God on high? Shall I come to him with burnt offerings, with yearling calves? Does the Lord take delight in thousands of rams, in 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I present my firstborn for my rebellious acts, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Thank goodness, no. We do not have to do those things. What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. And tonight, before we go further, I want to give special thanks for 3 of Chum's great advocates who clearly walk the Micah road: Clarence La Liberté, Virginia Marie May, and Jan Evans, who have gone home to God since our last assembly. These people embodied generosity of time, treasure, and talent to Chum. We mourn their passing and stand in their light. Clarence was one of the truly great forces behind the capital campaign to construct the Steve O'Neill Apartments. Virginia volunteered at the food shelf for over 20 years. Jan was a delegate and committed volunteer, the heart and soul of Chum Church, and donor for over 15 years. So carry them in your hearts. And also remember the passing of Evan at Lifehouse, one of our colleagues, unexpected over the weekend. So in loving memories of these stalwarts, certainly lived out the words of the song we're going to sing, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, we're gonna sing Let There Be Peace on Earth. And singing on Zoom is always tricky. Sometimes there's a little lag time. So just do what you want. Sing with me muted or sing with me unmuted. It's up to you. But please do join me in song. Let
Let be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let
Let
there
be
be
peace on earth,
peace that
peace that
was
was
meant
meant
to
to
be with God,
God.
our Creator. Children all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony.
Let peace begin with me.
Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, Pastor Cynthia, and good job, everybody. You know, give ourselves a little waving hands to get that. I'd like to just recognize some guests here tonight. Ann Krisnick, who is the Executive Director of Joint Religious Legislative Coalition. Senator Jen McEwen represents part of Duluth. And hand it over to Patrice Critchley-Menner, the Chair of the Board, for the roll call of CHUM organizations. You're muted. You're muted.
I did.
Okay.
I was trying to spare everybody my singing voice, so sorry about that. Thanks, Lee, though, and thank everyone for being here. This is a roll call that we do every time we gather together because everyone's input and participation is very important, and we're thankful for all of you. So, I'm going to ask everyone to unmute yourselves, please, and then respond when I call the name of your congregation, please. Glen Avon Presbyterian Church.
Here.
Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Duluth.
Here.
Cathedral of Our Lady of the Rosary.
Here.
St. Mary Star of the Sea Catholic Church.
Here.
Hi, Renee. Gloria Dei Lutheran Church.
Here.
First Lutheran Church.
Here. Here.
Trinity Episcopal Church.
Here.
Trinity Lutheran Church.
Here.
Benedictine Sisters of St. Scholastica Monastery.
Here.
St. Paul's Episcopal Church.
Here.
St. Andrews by the Lake Episcopal Church.
Here.
Duluth Superior Friends Meeting. Temple
can't talk.
Israel.
Here.
St. Benedict's Catholic Church.
Here.
Pilgrim Congregational Church.
Here.
St. Michael's Catholic Church.
Here.
First United Methodist Church. United Baptist Christian Church. Hillside United Methodist Church.
Here.
Salem Lutheran Church.
Here.
Asbury United Methodist Church.
Saw them.
Grace Lutheran Church. Family of God Lutheran Church.
Here. Here. Here.
Peace United Church of Christ.
Here. Here.
Did we miss any congregations?
I missed a guest.
Oh,
Leslie Stiles with the Charleston Family Foundation is here. So thanks very much for joining us, one of our great supporters of the Steve O'Neill Apartments. And also our COVID response, one of our first donors in reaction to COVID. So welcome, Leslie.
and thank you for being here. I know that, I'm
I
sorry.
don't know that you call the Duluth Congregational Church.
Oh, that's good.
I did
Okay.
not. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, Teresa.
Here.
Patrice,
Yes,
Lakeside Presbyterian.
Lakeside.
I'm sorry. Oh, Lakeside Press. Okay.
And I was distracted, so I'm not sure if you called on us or not, but Duluth Superior Quakers,
Yep.
the Superior Friends, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say there were some congregations that I called and didn't get a response for that I knew are here. So maybe they just didn't mute themselves.
Unmute.
So I know that, I don't know that all of the ones that didn't respond are here, but I know at least 2 or 3 of them were. So thank you everyone for being here. And we know that every action everyone takes makes our community stronger. So thanks for being with us.
Again, welcome. And tonight is a passage for many of us at CHUM. I'm turning over the leadership of CHUM to John Cole in a few weeks. Tessa Jacobson, who's been at CHUM for nearly exactly 7 years. It's like 6 years and 363 days. Has first served as family advocate at Family Shelter, a family coach at Steve O'Neill, and most recently as our champion of compliance and documentation for all our homeless programs. A couple of years ago, Tessa asked me if she could pursue a law degree while she's still working at CHUM. We made it work. I knew we would lose her eventually. I knew we weren't going to keep an attorney on staff in-house, but it was really important to me to invest in the professional development of our staff. And I really wanted CHUM to be behind someone who will make an enormous difference, particularly in family law and Indian child welfare law, which is going to be Tessa's areas of focus. So Tessa is moving on as an attorney. It's been wonderful having you with us, Tessa, and we'll cheer you on. Want to say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you for all of those kind words, and thank you to all of the delegates from the member congregations of CHUM. I know I've seen some of you around at assemblies like this one out in the community at different events, and your support of all of our programs and all of the folks that we serve doesn't go forgotten even as I move on from here. So thank you, everybody.
Going to help us build a just and compassionate society. And then tonight, after really too short a time with us since October 2019, Ben Margison is returning to Canada with his wife, who will be pursuing her PhD degree at Dalhousie University in Halifax. Ben came to us, jumped right in on meeting congregations, embedding himself in CHUM, and was getting enormous traction when, bang, this novel coronavirus hit us. But somehow he balanced staying in touch with most of you or all of you, welcoming new clergy, planning assemblies, pivoting to direct service to people staying at the downtown Duluth Inn, and really stepping up to be the hands of God whenever we needed anything done. So really has been wonderful having him with us. We'll miss him, but no, it's a fantastic opportunity for him and his family. And really it's part of his work that we never had a case of COVID at the downtown Duluth Inn. We use that place as a isolation facility for very vulnerable people and also to decrease the density at CHUM Shelter. And thanks to Ben, COVID never got there and couldn't be better. So Ben, thanks very, very much for your service to us. And would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for those kind words, Lee. It's been a blessing to get to know a good number of you, and I wish I could have got to know you more. Being in person and socializing is my cup of tea and then some. So I'm looking forward to staying connected with CHUM. I thank you so much for all of your kindness and the way that you care for our community and beyond. And hopefully someday maybe I'll end up back in Duluth and we I can join back in with what you're already going to be doing for the next while at CHUM.
Thanks, Ben. And Ben has been particularly generous in helping his successor, Patricia Benson, who also serves as a deacon at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Fortunately, we've had about a month for the two of them to overlap. And so welcome, Patricia. We look forward to working with you. Would you like to say hi to the crowd?
Hello, everyone, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I look forward to working together with you side by side in the mission and vision of CHUM.
One of my dreams at CHUM has always been to have full-time coverage at our Health and Wellness Center. And finally, with support from Essentia Health in St. Louis County, that dream is coming true. We welcome Amy Larson as our new community health worker. She's only been at CHUM about 3 weeks for us. And I didn't check to see if she's here, but she's just wonderful. And if you're here, Amy, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'll say a quick hi. I have a few kids who aren't staying in their beds yet, so I might get interrupted, but I'm really, really delighted to be getting to know everyone in the drop-in center and just starting to join in my efforts with all the wonderful things that CHUM has done. So yeah, I'm feeling really excited about it. Thank you. I'm gonna unvideo myself again because here they come.
And finally, the big transition tonight is to welcome CHUM's next executive director, John Cole. I've had the privilege of talking with John frequently over the last few months as he was first considering and then accepting the role of CHUM's next executive director. And I really couldn't be more excited. And then I'm really thrilled that his schedule allowed him to be with us tonight. John, welcome to CHUM. And I promise that I will offer everything you request, need, or desire to make your transition as executive director as smooth and powerful and grace-filled as possible. My job over the next 2 weeks until you move to Duluth and over the next 4 weeks while we work together at CHUM is to make sure that CHUM doesn't miss a beat in this transition. And actually, I'm even counting on you to help us up the tempo just a little bit. So to introduce John officially, I've asked CHUM's board of directors, chair of the board of directors, Patrice Critchley, to introduce to you the next executive director of CHUM, John Cole. Welcome.
All right. Oh, yep, I'm unmuted. So welcome, John. John Cole comes to CHUM from Align, Minneapolis, formerly known as Downtown Congregations to End Homelessness. There he provided strategic leadership, fiscal oversight, community and congregational outreach, and program management to their 18-member congregations. Prior to that, John worked for the Anglican Diocese of Northeastern Caribbean and Aruba, where he coordinated the diocesan youth ministry program for more than 50 parishes. He also created and maintained a free phone counseling service for children and youth. For fun, John enjoys choral music, traveling, and cooking Caribbean cuisine, and we are very excited to introduce you to John Cole.
So thank you very much, Patrice. And hello to you all, the Assembly of CHUM. It's good to be here. I'm delighted to get this opportunity to see you and to join in this assembly experience with you, to learn about the latest happenings and to see what's ahead for CHUM. You've grown accustomed to working with your incredible executive director, Lee, these last 8 years, and together you've done wonderful things. So I'm the new guy, coming in to carry on where Lee has left off. Trust me when I say that I am no birder, no biker, as Lee is, but I do love the water. And though I may be a salty, having grown up surrounded by the Caribbean Sea, I look forward to the fresher experience that Lake Superior and the St. Louis River have to offer. It's probably a bit cooler than I'm accustomed to. But one of the things that Lee and I have in common is our commitment to doing right by the people in our community experiencing hunger, homelessness, and isolation. And after meeting the staff of CHUM, I came away feeling their commitment to CHUM's mission and vision and to the areas of responsibility. So let me share a few thoughts that's on my mind as I prepare for life among you in Duluth and at CHUM. We just celebrated Mother's Day, and I'm reminded of an old hymn used on Mothering Sundays in the Anglican tradition that speaks of God's love. I grew up Anglican. My elementary school attended worship every Wednesday morning at the cathedral. My father was a priest of the church, so there was hardly a Sunday morning when I was not at worship service. So forgive me if I sound a bit preachy. I think some things may have rubbed off. So this is what the hymn writer says about the nature of God's love. Mine is an unchanging love, higher than the heights above, deeper than the depths beneath, free and faithful, strong as death. And as I think of this unfailing, unchanging love of God that's an ever-present constant to all of creation, many thoughts race through my mind. I think of the early Christian community, how it organized itself to care for the loved and the unloved, those who had pooling their resources so that those that were in need could receive assistance. Could this be Duluth? And I think of you, the members of the assembly, each of you representing communities of faith who in your respective contexts, through your daily witness, seek to offer God's love to your community. How's that coming for you? And how are you doing with that? I also think of CHUM, who for over 48 years has been seeking to respond to the needs of the hungry, the homeless, isolated and otherwise marginalized in this community, serving over 8,000 persons last year with emergency food, shelter, advocacy, support, street outreach, and permanent supportive housing. Is it enough? How can we take what's being done so well and enhance it? And I think of myself, the new executive director coming to Duluth and Minneapolis with over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit and ecclesial arenas. My work these last 10 years has been about mobilizing faith communities, whether Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or Universalist, to collaborate in the interest of human dignity, to provide the tangible and intangible support necessary for persons without a home to achieve stability and get a roof over their heads. The strategies have varied from organization to organization, but at the root of it is a passion for uplifting humanity. I am passionate about this work, and I have served on various committees and teams with persons currently and formerly experiencing homelessness. I have participated in lakeside rejuvenation retreats for persons staying at homeless shelters. For years, I sang with a choir made up of persons who were housed and unhoused, called Street Song Minnesota. And as I toasted marshmallows over campfires or played games with them, or even as we performed before large or small audiences, I gained fresh understanding of our common humanity. In every instance, I came away inspired by their passionate dedication to making things better for persons who are currently sheltered or unsheltered. They have taught me a lot. So as I come to CHUM, I will be seeking to learn as much as I can from you, because you know best what you are facing in the community. But I will ask the questions, how can we do it better? And what more can we do? How can CHUM keep on doing all the good stuff while developing the capacity to respond even more? In answering these questions, organizations like CHUM have to do three things. One, I think firstly, we have to be responsive to emerging trends in homelessness. I learned long ago that you have to scratch where the people itch. So if more and more elderly are becoming homeless, we'd have to respond appropriately. Or if substance abuse or mental illness is significant in the homeless community, we'd have to devise programs and strategies in response. You see, love requires it. The second thing is we'd have to maintain financial stability, because the bottom line is that it takes cash to care. Love needs it. Thirdly, we'd have to increase our support base, because organizations can achieve far more collaboratively than by doing it alone. So that means more supportive congregations. I'm glad to see this evening we had congregations we didn't expect. More service collaborations. more community partnerships. Love thrives on it. CHUM will have to face the challenges of a post-COVID era. The interplay between virus variants and vaccine efficacy will require vigilance to ensure that both staff and those we serve are safe. Already we are seeing that the United States is not safe if another country in the world is experiencing rampant infection. So the US, recognizing our interconnectedness, the reality of our global village context, is now assisting India with vaccines, PPE, and oxygen. We only have to parallel to understand the lesson that teaches us here in Duluth. It is far more costly to ignore the plight of the less fortunate and destitute in our community than to address their situation. Pastor Cynthia led us in the beginning with a rendition of that song which says, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." Well, we can never truly be at peace when we have fellow community members going hungry or not having a roof over their heads. We can never truly have peace when there is no way for a brother or sister who has fallen off the bandwagon to get back on again. And we can never have true peace if we have human beings stuck in an existence that prevents them from even getting to the bandwagon. So yes, this peace that we crave must begin with each of us, and it must begin tonight. Let this be the moment now, the song says. And I'm sure Patricia, who will be talking to you later about advocacy actions, will agree. This love that is unchanging, free, and unfaithful requires our collective action. A couple of weeks ago, I was driving around Duluth, trying to acquaint myself with the city and the hills, trying to get a feel for the community that I was joining. And in the midst of all the unfamiliar, I saw a familiar scene. A human being outstretched on the pavement beside the city street. Something was wrong. But also at that person's side was a police officer and 2 paramedics seeking to render assistance. That was right. That moment drove home for me not only the need for CHUM, but that the people of Duluth, perhaps in the spirit of the early church, had invested its resources in equipping its emergency services to be responsive to such situations of human need. Collective action, the pooling of resources, that is our taxes, and the prioritization of human service by elected officials, resulted in help on that sidewalk for that human being, love in action. For me, CHUM is love in motion. You, the members of this assembly, and the people you represent are at the heart of CHUM. Your faith-inspired values, your passion for charity and social justice, and the inherent dignity of the human person drives your involvement in CHUM. And in turn, it fuels the engine of CHUM's life, impacting service. It does so with a heart and a passion to be there for our neighbors who haven't been able to get their life together. Working to feed, clothe, shelter them from all that will seek to pull them down, to provide some manner of healing. At the heart of CHUM is you and me, the people who care, the people who are concerned enough to act, to donate, and to bake lots of rhubarb pies. I am waiting to taste those pies, by the way. It's one of the reasons I took the job, just so you know. So there you have it. Thank you for logging on tonight. To thank you all for all the good that you do for God and for CHUM. May our hearts and lives echo God's love, higher than the heights above, deeper than the earth beneath, free, faithful here. Love in motion, at CHUM. Thank you.
You can't do this. Thanks so much, John. And we have some moments, we have some time set in the assembly. If anyone has questions they'd like to ask John, a couple of times in discussion. Anybody? You can put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand or put your thumbs up, or however you want to do it. And I'll need some help moderating that. Sandy? You're muted still.
I look forward to working with you, John. You are an inspiration. And thank you for coming to Duluth.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, Sandy.
Hello?
Is it Gary?
That's it.
Hi.
Hello. I would just have a couple of comments. Back in the winter time, I had a couple of friends that ended up at CHUM. When I came there to inquire about how they were doing, met at CHUM, they told me, "Oh, why are you here?" I told them they're trying to check on my friend. They said, "Are you homeless?" I said, "No." They said, "You gotta go. You gotta leave." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because you got no business here." I said, "Well, I'm curious and wondering about my friend. Got treated like a criminal and thrown out of there. How did that happen?"
Well, and that, I apologize for that. That was not well done. I'm very sorry to hear that. I do know that we were keeping ourselves free from many people who were not known to be homeless. We were, as a part of our COVID protocol, we were not allowing others in, but that was not gracefully handled. And I apologize to you, Gary. And I will work, and John and I will work that won't repeat, but I hear the pain, and that was not the right thing. And so I apologize. Thank you.
Oh, listen to me. One more thing. Do any of you know who Jane Addams is? The philosopher Jane Addams.
Yes. Yep.
Yes?
So, yep.
Then if you do, have you read what she wrote a century ago about this situation? Do you know what she did?
Gary, why don't you tell us, and then we're going to move on with other questions.
Yeah, all right. Don't matter. I graduated from UMD this December, my degree in philosophy. I'm going on to get my doctorate in bioethics. My emphasis will be what's going on here. Caregivers, recipients, dynamic. Not real happy with anything that's going on. Not.
Yep.
I intend to change it.
We look forward to the help.
No, you won't, because I'll be in your face.
I'm happy to have people in my face. I'm from the Bronx, New York, and John will pass it on. So,
all right, there you go. Thank you for listening.
yeah, thank you,
Gary.
and thanks for letting us know. And thanks for having the courage to do it. Any other ones?
My name is Mary Parsitoon, and I bet many of you are wondering who I am. I'm a student at University of Minnesota Duluth, and I'm studying public health. And I'm doing an internship this summer for a research project called Healthy Food, Healthy Lives. And my boss sent me here today to take notes. And I'm excited she assigned me here today, because not only did I get to learn about all the amazing work at CHUM, but I feel like I'm back at my home church, St. Andrew Lutheran Church at Eden Prairie. I'm at Duluth right now, and I've had only online classes and a lot of isolation. So being here with all of you and feeling the love of God has been amazing tonight. So thank you for hosting this event.
Welcome. Anyone else? Well, what I'd like to do is really welcome. There, I saw when I was scrolling through the screen, a lot of our nonprofit allies are here. I saw Brad Gustis, I saw Gina Boss, I saw other people. So it's hard for me to see you all, but thank you for joining us. A lot of our collaborators are at this assembly, And I also want to recognize all of the CHUM staff who are here. We are a team. Anything that CHUM does is done in the context of a team. Our staff, our work with the guests and people who use our food shelf, the delegates and clergy from congregations, our allies in government, our allies in philanthropy, and our allies in the nonprofit service world. So just really welcome all. You're all part of the CHUM family, and we couldn't do it without you. So I want to give you a quick update on the purchase of the downtown Duluth Inn. We're moving towards closing the end of May. Everyone tells me that's totally impossible and that maybe it has to be the end of June, but I, in my best driving force, I'm going to see if we can get it done in May. We're going to convert it from an extension of shelter to permanent supportive housing. It turns out that that has a lot more steps than I would have thought, but we're clicking them off one by one. Our primary partners in this project are the Housing and Redevelopment Authorities of St. Louis County, which contributed $1 million. Duluth HRA, $250,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield, $100,000. St. Luke's, who's working with us on the medical app, is Housing is Medicine, and the Greater Minnesota Housing Fund. And we also had a bequest from one of our CHUM members given specifically to help with this project. So what we really envision this is housing primarily for people over age 55 and older who are at CHUM or considered high priority homeless, meaning they need a lot of support to get through it. That we've managed to say that we can have a preference for the people in that category who are standing right in front of us. Believe it or not, there's some housing support systems in Duluth where it doesn't count if they're in shelter. That kind of puts them near the end of the line, and we want to put that at the front of the line. So there are 43 units over there at the downtown Duluth Inn. We're going to be naming it the St. Francis Apartments. That was one of the names that Steve O'Neill himself suggested for what became the Steve O'Neill Apartments, and I thought it would be a good thing. We didn't use it there, so let's use it here, St. Francis Apartments. We've been using 20 of the units as the isolation for elderly and vulnerable people during COVID. So all of the people who are there now will be given the option of transitioning to permanent supporting housing. We will require rent, or they can return to CHUM shelter. And we're making this the most flexible housing available in Duluth right now. People can pay their own way. They can use their Social Security. They can work on housing supports or board and lodge. Just a whole lot of difference. They can use any housing voucher that they happen to have. We decided to make it easy for people to move in instead of, nope, you can't get in, you've got the wrong kind of blah, blah, blah. So finally being able to create a tenant entrance plan that works for people. We're in the process of implementing Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services, which is the Medicaid expansion in Minnesota, one of the few states that has housing as part of that. So excited to figure out how to do that. And word of warning, this work is unfinished. And just as the Steve O'Neill Apartments were unfinished when Jim Soderberg passed the leadership on to me, St. Francis Apartments is still a work in process when I hand CHUM over to John. So keeping the tradition alive. So, but transitions and big projects are part of CHUM. It's how we roll. And just as Jim helped me with the emerging unknowns of Steve O'Neill, I will do the same with John. So I'm there, and every day something new happens. So I'm happy to do that. So turn it over now to Molly to talk about the wonderful Rhubarb Festival you've all been waiting for. We're going to do it.
Yes, we are. Thanks, Lee. So Rhubarb and Rhubarbra are back, and we will have our 17th annual Rhubarb Festival this year, yet with a few slight changes. It's going to be more of a hybrid version, as everything has become hybrid over this past year. So First United Methodist Church has graciously donated their east parking lot for the in-person portion of the event to allow for better spacing and better social distancing. And it will take place Saturday, June 26th for the in-person festival between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And then at 3 p.m., we will have a live stream that you can join to watch concerts, get gardening and cooking tips, see contest winners and even participate in our online auction. But we do need volunteers. So we are looking for volunteers to host a booth, for setup and tear down, to sell and grill rhubarb brats, sell merchandise, and many more Rhubarb Festival duties. And because we are unable to have large congregational cooking as we have, or baking as we have in years past, we have asked community partners to join us by offering various rhubarb treats starting the week of June 20th and going until June 26th. These treats will consist of entrees, beverages, and some baked goods. And we are looking forward to having the annual Rhubarb Fest again and having participate. And while the participation is not the same as it is in the past, it is still important. And as I mentioned, we would love for some of you to host a booth. It could be an activity such as a carnival game. It could be an information on a service that your congregation provides to the community that you would like to get out there, or even selling smaller batches of your baked goods. I'm going to shine a little bit of light on Salem Lutheran right now, and Chris, and thank you very much for being ready to go with your jams and jellies. They are looking forward to doing that. And more information will be sent out after the assembly. We also will need baskets for the online auction this year. And we want to thank you for your continued support of the Rhubarb Festival. And I know we're going to make this one great after, unfortunately, not having it at all last year. And I'm going to go ahead and give it to Scott Van Deel.
Don't you love her mask? Don't you love Rhubarbra's mask though?
Yes, this is the new, not necessarily the new and improved Rhubarbra, but the COVID aware and safe Rhubarbra. So, yes. And so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Scott for our food shelf updates.
Thanks, Molly. Lots of stuff going on at the food shelf as always. We'll make this kind of quick as it's kind of lengthy. The results are in. So after 42 days of fundraising during Minnesota Food Share Month, you guys and all of our friends in the Twin Ports once again left us all sort of speechless. Obviously, you know, the scary part of continuing to ask for things and get it hasn't died on anybody yet. But as a community, you helped us raise almost a little over 56,000 pounds of food. And this is the Whopper, 220, 271 and 99 cents in cash and checks. That's insane that we raised over $220,000 in 40 days. And this food and the funds will allow Chum and the food shelf to continue to serve our neighbors in need with dignity and respect for as long as it's needed. On average, we spend about $3,500 a month on food. So if you do the math, that's a lot of months of food to be paying for. So during COVID-19, the food shelf has seen an unprecedented number of clients seeking our help to keep their families fed. And we've been able to fulfill these needs because of you guys. So thanks to everyone who has and continues to donate their time, their money, and the abundance of food that everybody seems to keep finding. And many thanks to the hundreds of individuals, businesses, schools, and congregations that Molly has thrown up on the screen that has made this drive a continued success for us. Every year, we consistently rank in the top 5 in the entire state of Minnesota. So good job, Duluth. If fundraising in 42 days wasn't enough, we've also implemented a brand new program. It's called Chum to Go. COVID-19 has changed our entire operation, including our food shelf and the way we actually give away food, which is now low contact distribution of prepackaged 50+ pound boxes. I weighed a box the other day that we gave away. It was 63 pounds for clients to pick up. Chum has started a new mobile food shelf program called Chum to Go for people with low incomes or who are homebound, disabled, or unable to access our brick and mortar locations, thereby allowing us to serve more people who are facing hunger and food insecurity. Since COVID started in mid-March of 2020, Chum's Food Shelf has not allowed shoppers inside our building as we were accustomed to. Every day that our doors are open, we're serving on average of 130 households. Before Chum to Go, that was 3 times a week. We distribute 50+ pound boxes out of our side door. And on distribution days, many people wait an hour plus in cars and on foot in the alley or in our parking lot for their turn to pick up food. And for many of the clients that we see, the boxes are just too heavy for them to carry home. So in order to make this program actually work and operate, we need, I'm going to ask for it again, your help. Chum to Go operates on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the 2nd and 4th weeks of the month right now. Deliveries are made between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And we're looking for drivers, food box packers, schedulers, client interviewers, we're doing surveys after people get their food to make sure they're getting what they need. So if you want to learn more or if you want to help, send an email. This is a little bit different. The new email address is chumtogo@chumduluth.org. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can. With your help with Chum to Go, we'll make a significant community impact. Chum is removing barriers to obtain food for people who are homebound, disabled, or unable to physically come to the food shelf, which means better access to quality, nutritious food, and it will improve the health outcomes for seniors, families with young children, and people with illnesses and disabilities. Our program really is intended to help bridge the relationships with people who need our service, thereby decreasing their feelings of isolation and giving them hope and connection with others who care. So right now, really, Chum to Go, and there's one other food shelf in town doing this. So really, there is a bunch of people that are homebound, a lot of people that are hungry, unable to get food. And we and the other food shelf are really the only ways and the only way for these people to get food. So this is a fun program. It started this week. And so far, everything has gone surprisingly well. And the people that have gotten food are incredibly happy and incredibly grateful for what we're doing. And on top of that, yes, there's more. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Lee has about the CSAs, community supported agriculture. The real only update is that spring has finally come to Duluth. And actually, I actually mowed my lawn this week. So it's greening up. There's plants growing, food growing. We should start seeing some early crops coming very soon, hopefully early June, middle of June. And we'll be able to share the bountiful produce from farmers near and far. We are extremely lucky, Chum is, to have partners wanting to help fight hunger in the Northland that are involved in farming. You don't think of there being a lot of farms in Duluth or in our surrounding areas just because of how far north we are, but there are a ton. And this season, we have graciously teamed up with 10 of these farms, and we'll be distributing 40 community supported agriculture boxes every single week of the growing season. Last year alone, Chum gave away a little under 77,000 pounds of food. If the growing conditions are right this year, we expect to give away an additional 100,000 pounds. So we could easily be
Produce, not
produce, just produce. That's right. So we could easily be approaching 200,000 pounds of fresh, nutritious food straight from the ground going into people in need's mouths and feeding people near and far. So it is a wonderful program, just like the Chum to Go program. And truly, without any of your guys' support, none of this would actually ever happen. Chum, the food shelf, never missed a beat when COVID happened. We had consistent volunteers willing and able to, show up whenever what was needed. And we made it work. We never missed a beat. And that is something amazing that this community has given to us. So thank you very, very much. And I guess I am passing it on to Patricia.
I'm the new Congregational Outreach and Advocacy Coordinator, and I'm going to provide a brief legislative summary here. But I want to tell you that you'll be able to find more details both in the main newsletter and in the follow-up email you'll find in your box tomorrow. We're hoping to get the word out about rental assistance programs. The moratorium on eviction has been extended to June 30th, and St. Louis County has received 4,700 applications for rental assistance. About half of those were on hold after the first round of CARES Act funding, but a new program provides another 29.7 million. Applications are being processed now with a June 30th deadline, and tomorrow in the email you'll find a link and a phone number for how to connect people with those funds. There's another program, Rent Help Minnesota, which provides COVID relief funds for rent and utilities dating back to April of 2020 and going forward through July of 2021 for people experiencing financial hardship due to COVID. It's tiered based on income, and One Roof is the local field partner who can answer any questions about the program or provide help with the application. So watch for that follow-up email tomorrow morning for more information.
Super important for us all, excuse me, it's just super important for all of us to spread the word about the availability and paths to these funds. Critical, so please share it in your church bulletins and your pulpits everywhere. Thanks.
As John so appropriately stated at the beginning during his message tonight, love requires collective action. So this year, the legislative agenda for CHUM included stopping the fines and fees debt trap. That's been divided into two bills, both of which are in conference committees. The driver's license suspension reform bill and suspensions for unpaid traffic tickets. People still have to pay the ticket, but they can drive legally to work and to take care of their family while they pay off their court debt. Suspensions put a real strain on low-income communities and disproportionately affect communities of color. The fines and fees reform bill gives judges the discretion to reduce, waive, or offer community service in lieu of the $75 state surcharge in cases of financial hardship, and requires judges to consider a person's ability to pay before imposing a sentence that includes fines, fees, or surcharges. The courts estimate that judges will waive the $75 state surcharge on about 16,000 cases, and that will result in 1.2 million in savings to people at the very lowest income levels who are most detrimentally impacted by court debt. On the housing side, Bring It Home Minnesota was led by Beacon Interfaith this year. Over 500,000 Minnesotans live in households struggling every month to pay the rent. And this program is a rent subsidy that would result in housing stability by making sure families don't have to pay more than 30% of their income for rent. And while this didn't make it through the session this year, it's a 5-year platform, and we need to remind our legislators to prioritize this program in the 2022 session. And that link will also be in tomorrow's email. Bonding bills for housing didn't make it through this session, but the House and Senate both have housing bills in conference committee, seeking to merge the two versions into one final report before getting passed out to become law. We need critical housing priorities to make it into that final conference committee report, including 18 million per biennium in emergency services program grants and 5 million per biennium in cash for shelter capital projects. So right now, what we'd like to do is to take that collective action and demonstrate our love. So on your screen, you will find a script. There we go. You will find the script for making a call to Majority Leader Gazelka or to Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan. So is there anyone here who would volunteer to demonstrate a call for us regarding the fines and fees debt trap? I can't see the full screen, so any volunteers?
I can do it. Hello, my name is Mallory Thorne. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I live in Duluth, and I am with CHUM. Thank you for your past support for the bill ending driver's license suspension for unpaid traffic tickets and the bill giving judges discretion to waive the $75 state surcharge in cases of financial hardship. I support these bills because, I believe they unfairly target low-income people of color. And please make this a priority this session. Thank you so much for your continued support. Goodbye.
Thank you. So what we'd like to do now is everybody grab your cell phone and pick a number and make a call. And mute.
I'm not clear. What do you want me to do?
We are making a phone call right now to try to support these bills that are in conference committee. And so the two numbers on the bottom of the slide are the two numbers to call where people have some impact on whether this bill gets passed, especially Majority Leader Gazelka. Thanks for
Okay.
asking, Gary.
I'll try to do that, but you should know, I have two relatives in the Minnesota State Legislature, senators. You want my help? Make it clear what you want and what I should tell them.
Okay, well, tomorrow we're sending out a follow-up email. So Gary, do we have your email address?
I got it.
Can you put it in the chat or email it to one of us?
All right, I'll
And
try
then-
to do it in the chat.
Okay, and then we will add you to the email tomorrow, which will give you the full script and all the information you need, okay? Thank you so much. Okay, so we also have a housing action that we'd like to take tonight. Our housing supports action is being relayed to the conference committee. So this one is going to a whole bunch of people, and we're grateful to the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless for providing us with an online form. So if you follow the link that Ben is putting into the chat, then you will be able to link into a form and just fill out your personal information and contact the conference committee. Let them know that you are with CHUM, and you can personalize the email to reflect your thoughts. But the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless, has also inserted a text, and you can just use their text as well and modify it to reflect what you think.
Was the website that Ben put up for us Luddites who do not have a smartphone to scan?
Yes, the link in the chat is for people that can't use the QR code. I'm sorry, I was juggling a script and the slides at the same time. I missed that.
I would always use the link anyways too.
And as you finish demonstrating your love through this collective action, you'll find a poll on your screen that you can select from a few different options to let us know what it was that you were able to accomplish tonight, or that you will be able to do later. And again, all of this will come out in a follow-up email tomorrow.
Can we see the poll as it's happening?
I don't. I think Ben has it.
Unfortunately not. Do you want me to announce the horse race that we're in?
I think, don't you think if you can share your screen, right?
Oh, I could share my screen, yes. Oh no, then it would take away the...
It's up on my
Hi.
screen as well as the co-host, but unfortunately, even though it's up on my screen, I can't share it with you. But we have 55% have voted, and 28% have contacted Majority Leader Gazelka. 11% have contacted the governor and lieutenant governor. 34% have emailed shelter and housing supports. 7% have done all three. 39% are planning to do it later, and 14% are still deciding.
That's great. Let's go.
Wonderful. The power of love, the power of collective community.
So
So,
what,
Go ahead with the book study, Patricia.
right, right. So in June, if we want to advance the slide there as well. Oh,
can everybody see the poll results now? All right. Thank you all for voting.
okay, so one of the things that we do is gather together to learn more and to raise our own awareness of the areas of concern with CHUM. And in June, we're going to begin our summer book group with Julia Dinsmore's book, My Name is Child of God, Not Those People. Julia is a Minnesota poet, singer, and educator with firsthand knowledge of what living in poverty feels like in Duluth. We will be meeting on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at noon for 1 hour per session. And we will begin the first week of June. So June 2nd will be our first session. Books Make a Difference had this review of Julia's book. Perhaps no individuals in the history of the world have been more misunderstood than those experiencing poverty. The causes of poverty are as complex as they are diverse and simultaneously personal and systemic. A lot of books have been written about people in poverty, but not many written by people in poverty. So please sign up. You can email me for that. And again, that link will be in tomorrow's more in your email box.
Once again, we're now keeping with our great tradition of starting and ending on time. I'm handing this over now again to Pastor Cynthia for our closing song, and then Reverend Weaver again for closing prayer. And then we're going to hang out afterwards. We're going to keep trying to do this social as we would if we were marching out of a congregation. So, Pastor Cynthia.
All right.
Good job. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to sing Here I Am, Lord. Again, join me if you'd like. Hum along, sing along, or just listen. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry. All who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. Stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go. Of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord.
This evening, I offer these words of John O'Donohue from his great book, To Bless the Peace Between Us. No one knew the name of this day, born quietly from deepest night. It hid its face in light, demanded nothing for itself, opened out to offer each of us a field of brightness that traveled ahead, providing in time ground to hold our footsteps and the light of thought to show the way. So at the end of this day, we give thanks for being betrothed to the unknown and for the secret work through which the mind of the day and wisdom of the soul become one. May we all depart in peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all again for coming. It's been wonderful being with you these years, and I wish you well and hang out and socialize for a little while. Thanks, everyone. Good night.